We're going to talk about this costume, how we can take a plain white costume and turn it into something else. And in this case, it's going to be an Egyptian queen. And this is just simply made out of a sheet. I had an old wig that I had used when I did my transition to my natural color hair. So I cut off the bangs and combed out most of the curls. It's still got a little bit of curl in it. And I made this headband, which I'm going to take this off of a stretchy fabric. I couldn't find one in gold, so I bought it in black, and I just sewed a bunch of sequins and beads and these little gold things on it. And then I used some gold, it's actually elastic, and to put some beads on it for that Egyptian look. I put 3 on each side towards the front of the face. So I think that worked out pretty good for the headpiece. And the wig is not totally destroyed. I mean, it could be used for other things, except that it has bangs, permanent bangs now. But this thing could be used, you know, separately if somebody has their own hair and they wanted to put braids or something in it. So there's the headpiece. I made this collar with some beads. This is a necklace here. I put some little rings on it to attach beads. And then I made these out of foam core, and I just wrapped them with duct tape. It's got gold metallic duct tape and red glitter duct tape, and this is just a plain piece of black, it's probably even electrical tape. And finished it off with beads. The whole thing is wired together. To make the Egyptian collar, I started with a solid ring necklace and added small loops, 1 per each segment. Since the segments are made of foam core wrapped in duct tape, I could easily run a needle through it to sew the beads on, connecting it. The needle needs to be long so that you can pass it all the way through and not lose your needle inside. The segments are separated by a single bead. It took me 3 times to get this thing right. First time, I used a needle and thread, but when I tried it on, the thread broke easily. So I used a heavier thread the second time, but that limited the size of the beads I could use. Then I had a new problem. When I picked up the collar, everything slid to the center. That would not work. So finally, I just used wire to attach the beads. I had to use small sections of wire to join the beads, running it through the foam core and making a curl with needle nose pliers to prevent the bead from slipping off the wire. In my frustration and third attempt, I failed to press record when using the wire, so all I have on tape is me using the thread, but you can kind of see the manner of ordering the beads to loop around the solid ring necklace. The wire worked well to help the collar keep its shape and lay flat. And that will be the Egyptian collar. Here is a close-up look of the collar. Now, I don't really like the way it looks around the neck, so I've decided to make something to go underneath of it to give it a more finished look around the edge. I draped a piece of gold fabric underneath, and I wasn't really happy with that either, so I tried something else. I thought the black looked much better. It makes all the gold jewels, beads, and the glitter tape stand out better. So now the dress is plain. It has a low waist. It has a flared skirt. The sleeves are also flared because really this is an angel costume. But there is a split in the sleeve, so that's cool. That would work for an Egyptian queen. But I don't want to destroy this because I like to keep my costumes flexible. And I want to be able to use this again for an angel costume or whatever. So I don't want to have to make any changes to this that I would have to take apart one day. I want to keep it so that it can still work as an Egyptian queen. So I started playing around with some fabric. I have this lovely piece of purple fabric. It's very delicate, and that would be a great cape, but I don't want the cape to go over my collar. I want it to be underneath. I have to figure out how to attach it. And if I have a black collar up underneath here, from the very center back, I could attach it to the collar, and then I'm planning on making gold armbands and attaching the corner, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, attach the corner to my wristband, so when I open my arms, it will just, you know, open up in the back. And that way it doesn't take away from the beautiful color. I put a lot of time into that. So I want to show that off. Okay, but still the dress is plain. Well, I have this gold shiny fabric. Isn't this wonderful? Just look at the way that thing drapes. And it's fairly long. And I was playing around with it. Let me see. It's got a black edge on it. And I thought, well, what if I brought it around? So that looks pretty cool. Of course, I'm a little wider than this thing, so it would actually flare out more towards the side. There'd be actually more. The black actually looks good because we've got black beads and black here. So that looks good. And I found this shiny piece of leather, which I thought was really cool. I was trying to figure out, well, how do I use this? And that looks pretty cool. And then I have another piece of this same fabric. And sometimes a lot of Egyptian costumes have a little thing hanging in the front, so I thought I would just drape it like that so it hangs in the front. And that looks pretty cool. And then it kind of unifies the whole costume. I think it's going to work pretty good. And then I decided to add one more thing. I had bought some gold trim. It's not rickrack, but it's this cool design. And I thought for an angel costume, it would be okay if it had some gold and glitter. So I think I'm going to run down the sleeve to where it splits. And then I think I want to go down on both sides of the split and just put a little gold edge. I might even go, if I have enough, I might even go all the way around the sleeve just for a little extra glitter. And that would be fine because it could still work for an angel, so it wouldn't take away from the costume at all. So I think I've got it all figured out. Now I just have to sew it up and then I'll show you what it looks like. So for my collar, I cut 2 pieces. I used my largest bowl to cut around a circle. Cut 2 pieces of black fabric, and then I cut a piece of flannel. I just had a piece of flannel, just some sort of filler to make it a little bit thick. As I was thinking about the back drop, I was thinking, okay, yeah, that's about the size that I need. I want it a little bit bigger. It's because it's going to have little finished edges, and that's about the size of my bowl, so that worked out. That works out great. I did put a split in the middle, and right now it is it's matching, but of course it's going to lose a little bit as we sew it, and that's okay if there's a little slight gap. I'll probably have to put a hook and eye or something at the top. And then for the arm, I cut 2 pieces of the gold. I measured it to make sure that it would fit. I wanted it to be a little longer on the inside and shorter on the outside. So I cut 2 pieces of the gold fabric and 2 pieces of white for the backing, and a piece. I need to cut, 2 pieces of the felt for the liner. And these armbands, I was thinking I'd like to make a Wonder Woman costume one of these days, and these armbands could be also used for that too. So another little thing about being versatile. And I'll probably use Velcro straps to be able to close it up. So that's all I have to sew are these, 2 of these, and 1 of those. Just these 3 items. So I've sewed all 3 pieces together, and I trimmed around the edges. Try to get as close as you can to I didn't use interfacing, I used a piece of felt. I left it open on this end so that I can turn the whole thing. Whenever you are turning something inside out, you always need to do a little bit of trimming around the edge and clip off every corner. And then wherever you have curves, you also have to clip the curves. So I'm going to go around the edge, and you cut a perpendicular cut towards the seam, but be careful not to cut across the seam. Approximately every inch around the circle. And the reason we do this is so that when we turn it inside out, you'll have a much smoother circle without a lot of ripples or lumps or bumps. So that's really important anytime that you sew any garment that you have to turn inside out. I've clipped that curve and clipped that curve, so now it's time to turn it inside out. But to just kind of roll it to try to get the corners out. Now we'll press it, and then we'll do a top stitch all the way around, and in the process we will close up this side, so we'll just kind of pin this, tuck these edges in so that we can pin this down. Make sure these corners are good. The opening, we'll pin that so that can be stitched all the way around the whole thing. But first I want to iron it to make sure that I have all the fabric pushed out to the seam. Okay, the top stitch is done. To close it up, I think it'd be good for a hook and eye. Oh, I wanted to show you this little storage thing. You know these little covers that cover like a phone jack? Sometimes when I took out a security system or something, and I saved a little box. Well, these are just perfect for these little containers to fit in here like drawers. See, look at this. This is where I keep all of my hook and eyes. And I want black. I've got silver ones, white ones, black ones. So I need a hook and eye, a large one. I think I'll put two, one at the top and one at the bottom. And so we just put a little thing back in there. You can fit 5 in here. I have 5 little things. And that just makes a nice little place to store the little pin hook and eyes. They just come out like that. And that works great. So if I have to buy any more of those little containers, I've got another one. It still remains an angel costume, but it's also an Egyptian queen costume. So I hope this inspires you and gives you some great ideas. Check out my other costume making videos, and don't forget to subscribe to learn some more great tips. Bye-bye.